Good morning, Tibber.
Morning, how are you?
We are good. We are good. We got your question about the transportation website, and we're going to just take a second. We had a couple other questions on tagging, which we'll cover. We did look through the transportation site, and actually, as long as we got you, we can chat about it for just a minute. But who is the primary audience for that? Is that contractors?
Engineer, the design consultants, anyone that may have a relationship with Wisconsin DOT as well for roadway work. So, but I don't know. It could be others that may want to know, and I just don't know where they're at. So,
Gotcha.
um,
Do you get feedback or people saying they can't find something on the
no,
site?
no, but I don't know if they're looking either.
Okay. So we went through the site for a little bit,
Okay,
just kind of taking a look at the stuff. Give me a second here. Taking a look at what you had. This is the right page, right?
correct.
Yeah, so first of all, I think you're doing a good job. So we didn't see anything completely obvious how to make it more engaging or welcoming. One thing you could, if you are curious about feedback, on the bottom of every page that you don't have that many on here. There's like 5 or 6 pages. You could put a little link, make a little stripe on your page that says, "Can't find what you're looking for? Let us know," and then have them send you an email. So you maybe get one email a quarter, but somebody's in here looking for something, because right now there's no way to get feedback. So that would be just a suggestion for an incremental improvement you could make. I like this. You're kind of starting out with a little bit of bragging about the best pavement in the country award. Who knew? Right here in Wisconsin. So this is nice. Yeah, I think it's a great way to brag, and brings a little bit of stuff. So I don't see any issues with that. Then you go right into the mission. You have a phone number in here. This could be, or underneath here, if does prefer to get phone calls, or would she prefer to get an email?
Try to get the phone call because the phone call will be like it's a general box for us, so all of us can access
We
it.
can't quite hear you. You just faded out.
Let me see if I can turn my volume up.
That's better.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay, okay. We do have a general mailbox for this phone number where myself and other employees, as well as Andrew, can access it. So it's easier for a group of us to get the phone number rather than just an email for her.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So that's perfect then. Yeah. If you prefer phone calls, some of the contractors might prefer, if I was asking a detailed question about something, I might want to craft an email. I would think, if I was interacting with it, but that's a preference on your part. So it'd be a thing if
I
having,
do, I do have that with the bid section, their personal
yeah,
emails and
saw that.
phone numbers, but
Yeah.
just not.
So I think this is good. You're laying
Okay.
out your mission. There's a picture along with each one of them. This all looks good. You do construction, engineering, bridge, permits. I mean, all that's you're describing it really good. Each one of these, if like the permits, there's an idea that since permits is one of your things over here, having it a link in here, permit coordination, and say down in the bottom, you would end this thing with, if you'd like to apply for a permit, click here, and then essentially you just take them to this page. So in all of the cases where you have the opportunity, what we call fly trapping, it's putting a link in that cross links to other places in the site. There's nothing more frustrating with coming to the site, reading about permits, and then going, well, how the hell do you get a permit? And then, it's not evident that you have to go up here to do that. So you improve user experience and user happiness by sprinkling not too many, but enough places where, what would somebody want to do next after they read about traffic engineering? Is there another logical place to go? Or some other thing that what is the next question they would reasonably ask? And then putting a link in there to provide that information if it's available. So those are little things. It's a nice page, good layout. And then again, a stripe over here that says, can't find what you're looking for, or how can we help you more? How could we improve this page? I just put it out there, and you'll probably get spam, but that we have some anti-spam techniques built into our forms that they have to fill out. Actually, John, we do a couple things with spam in our forms, right?
Wondering that I want to events to eventually do maybe like a
We can't hear you again, Tibber.
Okay, I don't know what, maybe because I'm sitting too far from the laptop.
There we go.
I would like sometimes, instead of just always calling, maybe do one of those contact us, fill out forms, and
Yeah.
maybe that get emailed to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And with the more specific thing, the saying, and you can put the subject in that form that says, request for improvement. This is where it came from on the page, so you have an idea where it's coming from.
Now, I would need help with that because I don't know how to create a form I know how to do a link, but I don't know how to make that form part.
That's something that JJ, I don't know if we have some training materials on how to create a form.
I can find some. Otherwise, Carlton probably has stuff set up already for the county.
Okay. Like I say, I can do a PDF version, but I'm like, I don't know how to do it this way.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Interactive form would be awesome. All right. So then the next.
Thank you.
Updates. I'm looking through. This is nice. So these are specific PDF files that talk about what's going on with construction. So I know, and it's 13th Street is the project. So if you're working on a 13th Street project, then you know what you're looking for in here. So I don't have any suggestions for that. There's another one. For more information, contact Lauren.
Okay.
Now this is where I'd have it as a link.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just a little thing, but that would be an improvement.
No, that's good there too. That is great there. Okay.
Permits is a place where you could, actually, no, this isn't the one. This is really good. So here you have permits. There's the link. That's beautiful. Here's your application. That's great. And nobody's complaining about the permitting process.
No, actually, that's doing well.
All right. So yeah, I no suggestions for that page at all. And the last one was this one, the county truck highway maps.
Now that's where I was trying and make them more accessible, but I'm not really sure what I was doing.
Yeah. So here you've got a great set of buttons, but the problem is every one of them says county truck highways. The first thing
Sure.
both John and I did. So this would benefit greatly from more description. So
right.
Condition map of county truck, the full, what is the lead word to differentiate? So the first word you see is full.
Okay.
This one would be the north condition map, north
Okay.
of the county truck highway system. So you buried the lead over here. So the
Gotcha.
last word is what we really need, and I have to read all the way through that to figure out which one's different.
Okay. All right.
So that would be just labeling, frankly, and then probably nothing else to change in there.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could, each of those is kind of indicating a region of highways, not one particular highway. So you might say, hey, if you're interested in county trunk, 526 through, and list out some information about the various highways that make up north, make up south, make up just something to engage, like, what am I going to get when I click this button? Obviously they can go explore, but that's less likely to occur. Most time people won't explore unless they know what they're going to get or have an idea. So
yeah, and here we have the 2021 county trunk highway paving map, but when I clicked on that, I don't have so that title in the PDF is outstanding.
Okay.
And your description of what's over here is not.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I would take a look. I don't know which one I clicked on, but I would definitely look at this labeling to be more descriptive, more accurate, and then have the keywords be in the first couple words as best you can. Switch the order of the words around so that the first couple words you read are the clues as to what that map's going to be about.
Hey, thank you so much for pointing it out. Okay.
Yep. It's easy to nitpick on stuff.
No, but that helps me understand, because I understand what it means to us internally, but as an outside person, you're not going to understand what that means. So thank you for shedding that light. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Other than that, I didn't have any other observations on your page. I know that we have the accessibility stuff is coming down the pike, that the project was approved, and I think we're going to move through the various departments at the county one at a time, making improvements.
Okay. All right, because that's what I was trying to get prepared for, and at least start here, at least with these maps, if people are trying to see them or read them or any information from them, because I just had click here at first. So I was like, oh, okay, let me change that. But now that you point out even how to make it more descriptive, that's helpful for now, at least. Okay.
Yeah, that's easy enough to do. So quick fix. All right. So the second topic, Tipper, is about importing tags, which is going to be technical. We're just going to, so if you can stick around for it if you want, it doesn't.
Sure will.
But if you depart, we won't take offense. So we're going to just record a little bit about a tutorial on how to do tagging and export tags. So
That's great.
John,
I'd like to listen, actually.
Yeah. All right, John, take it away.
All right, let me see if I can share the old screen here.
Oh, we have Corey's on.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, and Joyland's on there too. So this might be pertinent. Joyland, I didn't see the full list. Is there anybody else that had questions? So the next thing, if you guys thought of something, Joyland or Corey, but we're going to go through a tag import. That was one of the pertinent questions we had. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
John-
I don't have anything, so I was just gonna kind of listen in.
Okay, fair enough. John, take it away.
All right. Well, the question we had was around bulk uploading data. And if you've used Titan for a little while, you may have heard us talk about round tripping data or uploading data from a spreadsheet, these various things. But the question was in particular, when you're bulk uploading data for a site, can you also add tags during the upload? And the answer, as I think about it more and more, is kind of yes and no. If you're talking about adding a new attribute or a new tag into the back end of the system, no, we don't add those, at the time of the upload. But if they exist and you've got information about what to assign, then yeah, we will put that information on items that should. Well, now I'm thinking about this, and maybe my terminology needs a little clarification. So when we talk about tags, sometimes we talk about it as a noun. Sometimes we use the verb form and say we're tagging something. So we're talking about the noun. We're talking about the thing that is of content, right? We often will have a label that means something for filtering purposes or for just organizing, and we call those tags. And in particular, the question came from Weimer, bearing about organizing or putting this tag information on their product data or their manufacturer data, all data sites. And the term tags in the back end refers to these categories of content. They've got one for product, they got samples. This is all in their dev environment. And in your environment may have all sorts of different categories with a name on them. That named category we call a tag. The individual attributes, and that's the term we use, is attribute. The categorizations, product categorizations, well, there's our bearing, conveyor belting, electronic motion control. Each one of those string labels, then can be used as a filter or for organizing. Those are attributes. So when you're uploading content into the system, you can provide a collection of attributes for each tag that you want assigned to the item as it uploads. Was that pretty clear, Pat, or is there?
I think it is. So in summary, we have two different things. We have tags, which is both a noun and a verb. Use it very broadly inside a thing, and actually is often confused with lookups, which you haven't dealt with yet. And then there's the tag name and a tag attribute. And
Correct.
Classification internally, another word for it is a classification.
Yep.
Classification name, classification attribute.
Yep. And we sometimes use the term categorizing as a verb, we're categorizing content with these various labels. And they're all synonymous. You brought up lookups. I'll just say lookups are tags, but they're unique and constrained to a data schema. So for a particular collection of data tables, in Weimer's case, they've got a product schema in which they have lookups, which under the covers in Titan are just tags. They're named categorizations with attributes, but they're only visible to the content that's part of this data schema. And it makes things nice for performance, for filtering. It also gives you greater flexibility and reuse of terminology in some of this. So they've got brand as a lookup. Now, I did say before, as it relates to uploading tags, we won't create new ones from data that you put into a spreadsheet and upload.
So I can't originate a new tag altogether. If I wanted to make one say color to add it to the Weimer thing, I can't just build a spreadsheet and put red, green, blue in there and upload it and make a new tag called color.
Correct. You would need to go ahead of time into the workstation, add your new tag, call it color, provide red, blue, green, orange as attributes, and save, and then also make sure that the sites you care about using that tag are then, assigned the ability to use that tag.
Got to do it ahead of time. Got it.
Got to do it ahead of time. Now, as a caveat, lookups being very similar to tags, but used only in data schemas, since they're constrained to the content for a schema, we do let you originate new ones from the spreadsheet. So let's say color was unique to product.
Yeah.
And you added that categorization, you added color ahead of time, but but you didn't know whether you were going to need magenta or fuchsia or, whatever. In your data file, in your Excel spreadsheet, you could include whatever attributes you want. And we will say, oh, hey, I noticed you have these values for color that I didn't see. I don't have those. Do you want me to insert those?
Okay.
And since they're constrained to a specific set of content, we will do it. Tags are broadly applied in the system. Tags can be used on file files. They could be used on pages. They could be used on a variety of different data site items. And since there's a big potential for, making a mess of a system, we kind of constrain you that way, and we don't let you originate new tags.
Lookups have more flexibility.
Yep.
Tags more broadly applied, a little bit more constrained. Okay.
Yep. All right. So that said, let's go ahead and look about how we would do it. In the Weimer environment, for example, they've got this data site for manufacturers, and manufacturers in their system have tags applied, globally applied. But how do we know what they are? Well, you would typically have gone like onesie twosie into the tags tab and looked and seen, oh yeah, this one manufacturer content item has all this stuff. Well, that's not super helpful. I want to see them all at once. Plus, I'm talking about uploading this information from a spreadsheet. Well, in Titan, we've got this select a view dropdown. These we call browse views. And you can create your own. All you do is you go create, and you say, I would like a view
Content view, got it.
Yep, a content browse view that shows me information that I know as tags so that I can download this and then maybe work with it and then upload it back. So
You're going to call it tags.
I'm going to call it tags, and we need a couple of key pieces of information as, if we're going to do uploading. Primarily, we need to know the page URL, because that's how we're going to know who to update in the system with whatever information comes in. I throw page name in because sometimes page name is a lot easier to recognize what I'm working with. So page name, page URL, and if you scroll down in here, near to the bottom is a collection of tags. So I want the tags to be included in my view. I will say done, and it will show up now as an option in the dropdown. It's one of my personal views, but here it lists the name, the URL, and the collection of tags in a pretty reasonably decipherable, readable format that says, oh, this one has in the alpha tag, the attribute 123, in the manufacturer's by product tag, it has mill supply, and in manuf brand, it has these two manufacturers' brand names listed.
Means separated by a colon in there. That's how you can tell.
Yep.
All right.
So each tag, is selected by a semicolon. The name is got a colon before it or after it, so that there's a distinction between the name of the tag and the attributes. And then when we start a new tag, that's when the semicolon is used to that. Well,
Okay.
What we need to do is upload this. Well, let's download it first, and we'll get a sense for then what the spreadsheet looks like. So I've got Titan results 3, fresh from the environment here. And this may or may not be to see if it's small on your screen. I apologize. I can maybe zoom a little bit. But at the top here, we've got the first row has the list of headings. Each of the columns is folder is really basic. It's a 1 or a 0. 1 means this is a folder. 0 means it's not. It's an item. But the thing we are really concerned about is page URL, so we know what to update. And then here again is the collection of tags. Again, easily decipherable and important to recognize how you change the content so that when we upload it, we know how to parse it. And just again,
what does parsing mean, John? What is parsing?
So parsing means we're to take a string of text and recognize the structure, the data structure from various characters.
That's the way the computer reads this, all these semicolons and colons, and I see some pipes, some up vertical
Yep.
lines in there. So
Yep.
that
That vertical
processing is
pipe.
being able to read all that.
Yep. So
Okay.
it's also that as a computer system, we can decipher what the text means and how it's structured.
Okay.
We could have chosen other formats to render this in that are less human readable, like,
This is a good one.
but this has been pretty good. And since we download it for you in the format, it is a nice helper that way. But again, so here I've got alpha A. Well, that's clearly because the name is an A. But let's say we go to product, and here I can see there are two separate product attributes. There's electronic motion control, and then the pipe symbol indicating that there's now the next text is a new attribute called bearing, and then a semicolon. Okay, that means I'm done with the attributes for this tag. And now the next one is manufactured by product with bearing and electrical as separate attributes. And down the line, it continues. So if you needed to add a new value here and kind of jumped, but let's say I needed another manufacturer brand, I would just simply type in a pipe and then the text for another brand attribute that I know is already in the system. You cannot type one that's not in the system. It won't create it for you, like we mentioned. As long as it's the text that matches value in the system, it'll get applied. And when I say match, I mean match. I mean case sensitive matching.
So is test an attribute in the system right now for manu brand inside there?
It probably is not. Let's see, let's shrink that down quick and go back here. And the way we would look and see as we go back to Titan admin, back into tags,
Manu brand.
And here I see there are 4 options: Weimer, RPM, and ISS. So if I were wanting test to work, I could just add test and hit save. I won't, because I don't need to clutter up their environment. But if test were a valid attribute with a capital T followed by EST, then that would get picked up during the upload.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
And then, I mean, that's essentially it. If you're looking to add tag content to your data items or pages or whatever, you just need to include the tags information in the spreadsheet and upload it.
So a good way to proceed would be to create a view like you showed us of the data, create an export, look at the format, and then decide what new stuff you want to do. So if going back to that spreadsheet, I'm free to remove, if I remove a tag, like that line you have highlighted right there under menu brand, if I were to take RPC, RPM out of there and re-upload it, would it delete that tag?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll reassign the attributes that are given, and it'll remove the ones that were removed.
Okay. So I can only work within the 4 as you showed us that already previously exist, but I can, within those 4, I can add some more. And I can do that with any of the things. I can do more than one at the same time. I can do manufacturers by product. I could add stuff and remove stuff.
Correct.
So what happens if I fat finger this and instead of a pipe, I put an in there, something not pipe, an exclamation point or something. I make I screw it up.
Yep. So the short answer is it shouldn't do anything. That's kind of the nice thing about the way that we're doing this parsing. If it's not a pipe, we don't know what the start of the next thing is. And so we're going to assume that character belongs with that attribute name. Well, that attribute name isn't named with the exclamation point. So it will not assign
exclamation point isn't an attribute, right?
Correct. So in effect, you'll have removed it, I suppose, right? So it's right now it's only able to, if that was the case and I had a misspelled name, well, it's not going to add the misspelling. It's not going to, but it's going to remove one that was there incorrect, probably. So you would see a change in the content, but at least we didn't clutter up the system with something that was no good.
Okay.
But
Joylyn, you've done a whole bunch of imports in your data nodes, right? You use this extensively for all day long. Any tips you want to add in there of things that you've found success with or failure with?
I mean, you just have to be diligent that everything matches up. I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay. And do you run a test import before you run it to see if it's going to work?
It's been a really long time since I imported, and you guys
Okay.
actually ended up doing the imports for us just to save us some time. So I don't know. I don't know that I remember that process at all right now. So
Well,
All right,
we'll bring it
let's
up.
talk about it.
We'll show
Yeah.
you.
So let's bring that up, and I'm gonna back up and talk through it. So I showed you the download results so that we could get that view. We went to the view, we downloaded it, and that's how we got the information out of the system. But putting it back is just using the upload icon. And this grid is the point where we say, well, give me that Excel spreadsheet that I've been working on. Maybe it's still called Titan Results 3 or whatever from the download, doesn't matter. But the system is now doing the parsing. It's reading through that spreadsheet and pulling all the information and showing it into a nice grid. The grid is important in the sense that this is what we were able to discern from your file. So this is what's going to actually get put into the system. And so if you don't see it here, it's probably not going to go in the system. The things you put in here that maybe, you know what, and quick clear that out. And I just want to go back and, continue that example where we had, some bad information. I'll hit save. Now, bad information, I believe, will appear. It will, because I parsed some textual strings and I've said, hey, bad information is what you told me. The fact of the matter is bad information won't line up with anything real in the system, so there won't be a change there. But at least you know that it parsed the file that you gave it. Tells you how many records are there. That's a good checkpoint. But you can see at a glance that the information was accepted by the parser. If it wasn't, you would probably see some error message or on a particular row saying, maybe a common one with tags. I don't know if we talked about this, but tags can either be configured as single select or multi-select, meaning only one attribute can be chosen per tag or several could be chosen. Well, I know that I put smarts in that says, hey, did they give me multiple for this? And it says single. I'm going to tell them. So then there's warnings for some validation type things like that. Say you provided multiple when I was only expecting single. I'm going to stop just in case and not let you do that. But as long as it's parsed out and valid, then you can go through the process. You can choose test only to run a test upload. It won't actually make any changes to the system, but it'll run through each of the rows, the save, and then roll it back. And then if any of those would fail in the process of trying to do the save, we would record the exception message and report that back.
You're going to see this as this goes through. It actually is it's doing a simulation of the import. And like you said, it's going to roll it back over here. So it gives you a thing of 1 minute, 143 milliseconds per item.
Yep. Yeah. That was mostly, I think, for my benefit. I wanted to give a status update to show you how many items were being processed or left to do and about how long it was going to take. A lot of times clients are working through relatively small collections of items. 632 feels like a relatively small collection. When I was doing load testing on this, I think I had 30,000 or 40,000 records going at a time. So it was helpful to know how long it was going to take.
Sure. Yeah. So this is doing it. Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't think this was like this the last time I had to upload something. I don't remember being able to do a test.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. The test option's been there for a while. So the next time you have a chance to or come up and look for that checkbox, it'll be down below. It'll be in and among the other options. And I'm just going to cancel this because we don't need to see the rest of it. Just to show again the options. Test only is the checkbox. The other options in here, skip workflow. Versus, and it's grayed out, but it says complete workflow immediately and publish immediately. These will be if I uncheck it, the options related to Titan workflow. Skipping workflow will technically be a faster operation, but it's at the cost of changing the existing version of each item versus establishing a new version, and then publishing through the process. Starting new workflows on items takes a little bit longer in our system, just because it's copying all the information to a new version and then modifying it, and then, going through a process. So that might then notify people about having new items to review and that type of thing.
Right. So the idea that if you skip workflow, complete workflow immediately and publish immediately, all three of those things will speed up the process at the peril of creating the historic record. And
Right.
Roll anything back in the event
Right.
that there's some sort of problem.
Yeah. So, and I'll point out the reality of the way a lot of our clients use data records is in a no workflow type of scenario, right? They've got a spreadsheet, they're uploading it, they want that to be the master. They're not really going into the workstation item by item to make individual changes, and then having an editor come along and review those changes. The workflow process is a cumbrance, right? It's not something that's super valuable. They don't need it. So there might be 0-step workflow on most data records, in which case the skipping workflow or publishing it's going to be about the same thing. It's no, never mind. It'll be fast.
All right.
But if they do, then that's what we have the complete workflow and publish for, to simplify the process a little bit, but it'll take a little longer per workflow.
Corey, I had a question a little bit about, and make sure Corey, I want you, what your understanding, make sure you've got it right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, I believe on our current site, we have either a tags or filter feature turned on for some of the pages, but the lookups, that would be primarily just the search field. Is that correct? Like if we're adding data to this, whatever it may be to the lookups, that's going to be primarily
Not just for search.
the search field, correct?
No, the ability to filter on a site is linked to both tags and lookups. So
Correct.
if you have, when you say search, you have to be careful because it means lots of different things. So the ability to tags and lookups are both going to be manifest most often in some sort of filtering mechanism on a list.
Okay.
So tags can be applied very broadly, as John said, to pages, to documents, to libraries, and to data nodes, and you can use it to search. Lookups are more narrowly constrained, and we have a little bit more power in them for data sites only, for data nodes. But they both are going to be used for filtering. And both of them could be manifest in a search, a site-wide search to some degree. Search is going to be more keyed off of meta keywords and other stuff, but it could also look at tags.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, to the extent that the tag attributes, I mean, it's a text label, it probably shows up in a description, a particular piece of content. It also happens to be a label that you can filter on. Yeah, to the extent that the labels are matching and you did a keyword, search, it might hit, right? But yeah, the filtering checkboxes that like, oh, if you check this one and you're going to get 30 items back, or the drop-down menus, that you see often associated with filtering through a list, those are driven off of tags or lookups.
Okay, yeah, because I think we have some pages that we use the filter tool, and there's a lot of them that a lot of the options come up with 0 results. So,
Right.
We kind of questioned whether we needed them on those pages. On the flip side, in the site search, that's in the navigation panel, it's, I want to make sure that those are, that I'm doing the right things in the background to make sure that that's still a very visible piece of it. So, that's why I was kind of part of the reason why I was asking that question.
Sure.
Mhm.
If you have filters that are coming up with 0 results, there's a way to handle that also. That can be a configuration option in your filtering so that never occurs.
I think Julia told me that as well, but the bigger question for us was it was on most of the potential results. So we kind of questioned why we even had filtering turned on for that page.
Right. Yeah, any one of those checkboxes is going to produce the same items because they all have the same attributes assigned. Yeah.
Or if it's that small enough, etc. Joylyn had a question on being able to publish at future dates. And so let's jump sideways real quick. You probably take a look at the, even on this site, you could probably just clear out of here.
Yep.
And let's just go to a page. Pick a
See.
page, any page.
Let's go ahead and here. go here. And we'll make the very impactful change of
Space.
yeah, changing the order of these two blocks.
Right.
So the new option, which is not visible in this version because it has not been yet released. Let me go like this. It's actually something that's pending release. It's something that we've got slated for the next point release of 7.4.
We're up to
So-
7.4.13 or 14.
15. Currently, where it's .14, the publish for the future date will be in .15 once we release it.
And you can see it right on your login screen. Just as a point of order, though, the release, those minor releases are often obscure edge case bug fixes or whatever that affect one client with some obscure thing. So very rarely do we kind of roll out a feature that John's going to show you here on this version. But there is a way to publish future dates already inside there, but he added a new
Oh, yeah.
option.
I'm sorry. I was thinking, I got one track mind thinking about the new option.
Yeah.
So
You can add
So
add the flourishes of show them what's already there,
Yep.
what Joylin already has, and then what the new addition is going to be.
thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So the way that today and 7.4.14 and before, the way you would publish something in the future, and I'm gonna take that question and rephrase it because there's a different way to phrase it that communicates better what's actually happening in the system. And it's not that you're publishing this thing on a future date, you're publishing it now. But you're saying the things that are different about this new version aren't visible until this future date. So that's the distinction. It's not going through the workflow process later. It's going to go through the workflow process now, so that on a future date, these new differences become visible.
Okay.
And the main way you do that is from the Properties tab. You go to Properties after you've made all your changes, and you go to the Properties and you say, I don't want these properties to start until, we'll jump till the 31st. So I've got a future start date, and I hit publish. And naturally, I got to remember what page I changed.
Let's do it again.
Yep. So I go to public site. I'll change the home page. And I will change homepage better. Spelled properly. There you go. And this is going to be a start date of 31st.
So what time does that publish?
Yeah,
Yep.
right at the moment, midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
So-
again, it's not published, it's publishing
But-
now, but when
yeah,
it
what-
becomes
yeah.
visible, it will be midnight. And
It'll
the
be
way that,
activated.
yep, all the dates, whenever there's just a date field and no time showing, it's always midnight on that date. So, go ahead.
The case for me is I have a blog post that's all ready to go, but it's hidden. So
Okay.
if I unhide it and change that date for the 19th and then publish it, it won't show up on my site until tomorrow.
Correct.
That is not 100% true. It
Okay.
depends.
Okay.
It depends.
Okay.
If that blog post is currently published and active and visible, hiding it has made it not visible, but
Right.
it still has an active version that, if unhidden, would become visible. If you unhide, that is a immediate change, and it happens if you save or publish. And so, if
Go
it
back
is,
into your,
but
go into your,
if
go
it's-
into your blog, add a space in between two words, change it, save it, and then publish that as a future date.
I'm
So
going to
make-
jump to the history tab to maybe illustrate it a little bit differently.
I'm confused.
Along here, when you're using a workflow that is more than no workflow, if you have to publish in order for it to go live, even the very first version of a page has to be published to go live. If you haven't published even once yet, you're in good shape. You can set that start date for the future and unhide it, and it won't become visible at all until that future date. However, if version 1 has been published and is active, version 1 will become visible on its start date, which is, theoretically someday a long time ago, and is currently visible if you unhide it. The
Okay.
changes that you make aren't going to become visible until the start date. So the original version of it could be visible, but the start date's going to affect the next set of changes. So depending on your scenario, keeping it hidden until you want it to show is possibly going to be your best alternative. And it's easier to identify that from the history tab. So for example, version 21 is the one I changed. It's currently in editing. Version 20 is the one that's approved and currently active on the site. So if I come to the homepage, I'm going to see version 20 of the homepage. Version 21 isn't going to go live until the future, because as soon as I hit the other way, if you're on, this has been around for a couple versions. It's in 7.4, but you should be able to see an icon in the result list that gives you an indication. If it's hidden, it'll be grayed out. But if it's solid and it has a blue clock on it, that means it's pending future start date. And it will mean that there's a version of that page that's live and visible. The changes are scheduled for the future.
So even though it's never been visible, it's always been hidden from the first publish. If I publish it with a future start date, it will still show up.
Let me show you, I'll give an example then. If I create a new page, my blog item, and it's a standard page done. Here it is in the list, pending the first version. If I looked at the history, it says, hey, there's no active versions. There is currently no active version of this document. As a result, it is not visible on the site. It's in editing. I can make all the changes I want to it right now, including setting its start date to be the 31st. And until the 31st, once I publish this, in fact, I'll just publish it right now. And now you can see, you see it's got the blue icon and it's slightly grayed out.
Right.
That slightly grayed out means it's not visible on the site.
Okay.
The blue means it's got a future start date.
So as long as when I first create a post, I set that start date for whatever the publish date is supposed to be.
Yep.
I don't even have to hide it then.
Right.
Correct.
Got it.
It's not even visible yet. Yep. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
That's super helpful. Okay, now I know that going forward. Now I just have to remember it and train myself. That's another step
Well,
that I need when I
We're
create
going
a
to make
blog
a
post.
recording of this, so you're going to have to be able to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. We try to do as much as we can too with these messages. So the history tab, it's very rare that people use it, but I find it super valuable for this type of thing.
Yeah.
It'll tell you, hey, there's no active version on the site for this page right now. And maybe it's because it's expired or for some other, or it's hidden, right? It'll tell you those types of things. But getting so anyway, you're on the right track, especially if you can do it from the very first version of the item. If it's not, you're always going to be in a scenario then where you might have, I'm trying to think, there might be a way around it, but it's typically going to be some version is going to be visible until the next one takes over.
Right. Okay.
And in that case, using hide is probably your best option.
Okay. Got it. All
Yeah,
right.
but
That's
but the continuation of this original question was about the new option, right? So
Yes.
the new option, if I go back to the content here, or I say my blog item just better. And now I want to show the new option. In the publish menu, in the next release of Titan is a new menu option, publish ... And it's got the clock symbol by it to indicate that you're able to set some options then related to the timing of when it becomes visible.
and the time. That's fabulous.
With a time. And I'll go into this in just a second after I describe the other things. You can also provide a note that will show up on the history tab. So let's say I'm going to make people wait till 1 a.m. The suspense. All right. An option here we weren't sure if people would want to use it this way all the time or not. So we provide a checkbox that says, hey, always open this dialog when clicking publish. And if that's checked, anytime you hit the publish button, you don't have to go into the menu and choose this option. You could just hit publish and it'll show you the menu.
Okay.
If that's something you feel like you're doing commonly, great, check it and it'll always come up. I would say, I'm guessing, just a hunch, most people won't use it because it's a rarely used feature. But make it go live at this time on this day and put a note in the history tab so I can tell. Done. All right. So, the history tab then should show, yep, my blog item just got better.
Nice.
Where's the suspense? I have to
Okay.
double check. But it should show the note that you provided if it was there. It might not be there. I don't know. I'll have to double check. But that's the idea, that the history tab now would give you a little more information. So the thing I want to cover quickly is, how is it that something goes live at that time? Because it's an important nuance in the way our system works. All of the, and it piggybacks on my distinction of, well, it's not publishing in the future, it's publishing now, and it's just going live later.
Right.
We accomplish that using a background task. Background tasks are managed in Titan Admin, and they're a way to, on a regular scheduled basis, run through some process like cleaning up the database, or in this case, activating documents that were scheduled for future publication or for future activation.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Activate Pending Documents task. And the Activate Pending Documents task, by default, we set it up to run every day at midnight. That's how, when you set the start date for 12/31 on the Properties tab, something in Titan is running at midnight every night to see if there's any items that reached that date, and it's making them active then. If something would happen and the task didn't run, that item actually wouldn't become live on that date at that time.
So what happens if your status says errored out?
If your status says errored out, then it's a good time to call your support
Okay.
staff and get an answer about it.
Okay. I'll do that.
It's very rare to have an issue with those. It's more common to see like this: 0 documents activated, 0 documents activated,
Right.
because most people don't use the future scheduling feature. The thing that's unique about the new menu option is the ability to set the time. Since the one task that exists in the system is just configured to run every day at midnight, it can technically be configured to run any time, but it's just running once. You could run it every hour, I suppose, but then you're still limited. You couldn't say make it live at 1:37 p.m. You'd have to
Right.
wait for it to be on the hour or something. Well, to accommodate a specific time, we automatically generate a new task to run at the time specified.
Okay.
And once it runs once, then it won't ever run again.
Got it. Okay.
So in theory, you could publish several items to all go live at 1:37 p.m. There would only be one task that runs, and every one of those documents should then go live at that time, because the task runs and it sees that somebody needs to go live.
Right. Okay.
Okay, last question we got on the current list is that we recently added a child page to the website. I didn't realize it would show up in the filters. How do you exclude a child page from showing up in something that you previously have filtered? So the filter's been running stuff, and now you've added a child under that filter. And if we have a filter block on this demo site.
Let me look. Let me look. Let's
Testing
see.
filter page. You have a
You see a testing filter page?
pagination, testing filter pagination down a little bit right there.
There we go. That should do it. So this one looks like it's showing files. That's probably fine. Let's see, what's this one? Here's some items. It's just showing paginated items. So typically, let's say, let me see here.
So if you want a real live example, you can go to our instance and I can give you one.
I think I can speak to it generically.
Yeah.
So the notion is, when you set up a, I'm going to go back here because this one I think was a actual filter block, and they're similar. The expectation is you're gonna, when you set up a filter block, you choose the route to look
Right.
at for filtering items. So so that anytime a new item gets created under that root, it automatically becomes part of the collection of files that you could show. If you wanted it to not show, well, alternatives are, I guess there's one key way that I would say is like the easiest way to make it not show up. And I think it's the TOC zone under navigation.
But we need it to show up in other table of contents.
Yep. So that's now you got to do something different. So you've always got the ability to specify excludes. But I mean, in your scenario, you're creating an item and then you're going to have, as the next step, need to be go to your filter block and exclude it, because it won't auto exclude it unless your filter criteria are such that it's excluded. And you can have default filters enabled. Let's say, I'm guessing yours is maybe open-ended. It's not pre-filtering anything. But if
No,
it was,
it is. So it's a filter for like the top of our About Us page that goes to other pages in that thread, I guess.
in that branch. Yep, in that branch.
Yeah, but not everything is, let me see.
Is that
So
on your
like what
blog?
has happened with the blog?
Blogs, yeah.
So the blog, there's 4 things in this filter: blog, industries we serve, our history, and our capabilities. But it doesn't happen with the blog. When I do a new blog post, it doesn't show up there. Is it just because maybe that's the reason why? Okay, so it's about us, and then blog, industries we serve, our history, and our capabilities. Blog had a whole bunch of stuff in there. Our history and our capabilities have new pages. Or, I'm sorry, just our capabilities has a new page. Is it because it's the first page that we added there and now going forward it won't do that? If we add another child page?
No, I mean, new child pages, if that page is included in the roots that it should filter through, then new pages under there should show up. The reason it might not is the filter settings, right? If your filters are set to pre-filter to things with this tag checked, right? Well, if it doesn't have that tag checked, it wouldn't show up in the list, not by default. You'd have to change the tags, selections in the filter, and then maybe you get some new items.
No, it's none of that. Okay.
JJ, can you bring up that Tempco instance? Is that something that you can speed through? I don't know if she's on.
Yep.
LinkedIn.
Hang on, I have to do a couple things. It wouldn't be quick, sorry, unfortunately,
That's
Hi,
good.
JJ.
but I'll get there. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Stop sharing just 1 second while I find the password.
That's something no, I don't think it's.
All right, let me see if I can share.
All right, I got it.
I think the
Yeah,
blog
that-
is the reason why I didn't realize that this would happen.
All right, so you were saying Tempco about
So go
us.
to, just go to About Us, the main page, About Us. This is the best example. So here we have these 4 things in that filter, right? When
Okay.
we added our Foundry Alloys page, it automatically showed up there, and that's under our capabilities. But our blog posts, when I add a new blog post, it doesn't show up there. Like it won't get
Right.
checked.
So take a look at how this is.
So I had to go in and uncheck Foundry Alloys.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
yeah, so it's not showing there because you unchecked it.
Right. But that doesn't happen with the blog because I add a new blog post once or twice a month and they don't get checked.
Yeah, because it's configured so that it's already configured to not show the children a blog.
Okay. So it's just because it was a brand new page and that was the only child page. And
Yeah,
if we add more pages there, it might not show up.
I would describe it differently, but essentially, yes. I would
Okay.
describe it as because our capabilities was always configured to always show what was underneath, then the first thing you created underneath it showed up.
Got
Now
it.
that it's configured so that it only shows and not any of its children, now from now on, when you create new children there, they won't automatically show up.
Okay. That
Um,
makes sense.
So yeah, it's just a very narrow distinction, but it's
So-
essentially there. As for example, if news page share is checked, Now it's checked and stored in our configuration in a way that says, hey, this and everybody under it, including, you know, all the ones that currently aren't there. It's once there's an item in the tree that I can uncheck, that then we store that configuration differently
Okay.
so that it only takes that doc ID, not its children.
Okay. So maybe I'm the only one that experiences this, but we're trying to like expand on some of these pages and add more stuff. So more content. So we might be seeing this a little bit more.
Yep. So it's pretty
there
easy. You
was,
just
like-
do what you did. You come in and you
Right.
uncheck that.
But I didn't know that initially. Like there was like, if
Right.
there was a way to tell me, hey, this page shows up in these filters or these table of contents, that could be helpful. I don't know if it's possible, but you know, something
No.
like
Not easily possible. We don't know what, you know, you had a page someplace. It's not practical to go and look for every potential filter block that might be configured to include this page. Ultimately, you'll see it and
Right,
be
and
able
that's
to
what
change
happened.
it immediately. And like you said, now that you know that's how it's working,
make a difference. Yeah.
typically to your benefit, but in this case not, then you can make an adjustment.
Okay. All right.
I did as I was talking about excludes before, just to,
Right.
you could go at any point and say specific items would be excluded, but again, a new item isn't understood or known, so you're not going
Right.
to know to exclude it until it exists. So again, it's a reason to come back in and review the configuration and make an adjustment.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining. I think we captured some good information. As always, we'll publishing this is always up to YouTube. So you can go back and reference it, and it's got timestamps up on there, so you should get an email along with all of our other clients with and so thank you for asking these good questions and hopefully illuminating it for other people that aren't here today. And we'll see you again in a month, hopefully.
Thank
Thanks,
you.